We have time. They're short enough. We get to do this.
Read them aloud?
We get to read them.
Okay, good.
Write a story about a girl slipping on a banana peel, but make it as sad as possible. Bananas, she used to say, are probably the greatest thing on the face of the earth. Even then I hung on her every word. Everyone did. She had that way about her, always ending up in the center of every room she entered, and she loved it. The way she was now, with a half-eaten banana in her hand, laughing in a way that was somehow seductive and elusive at the same time. It's like they come in their own packaging. The world's most considerate fruit, really. Oh, you're late for math class? Well, here's a delicious breakfast you can eat on the way. And don't worry about your hands, I've got it covered. We had math class together freshman year. That was the first time I noticed her, the way her red hair flashed in the morning sun, 3 rows in front of me and 2 seats to the right. A punch in the arm brought me back to the now. Bro, said my younger brother, I'm gonna marry that girl someday. I look at her again, now acting out a fruit-based parody of some science fiction show with someone lucky enough to be her friend, her lithe, elegant frame poised in mid-leap.
Does that make you feel?
I tell my brother the same thing I told him when Mom died, when Dad left, our first day on campus. You know I got your back. But I don't. I've wasted too much of my life dragging this little twerp around, lost too many dreams because he needed me more. Not today. Today my dream is right in front of me and she's peeling a banana. The next day I put my plan into action. I swipe a dozen bananas from the cafeteria and I leave them in a trail from her dorm room door to the lounge. Each has an index card stuck in the peel. The first says, the most considerate of fruits. The rest say everything I've wanted to say since freshman year. How beautiful she is, how my heart skips a beat when she's near me. And the last banana is how I feel when she's not in my life. An empty peel. She comes down the stairs, eats banana cradled under her arm. She's smiling, and I dare to hope. She opens the door, but she doesn't see the peel. She comes down the hall and her foot descends on the peel in slow motion. She falls slowly into the arms of my little brother. Hi, he says, and she smiles.
Okay. I thought she was supposed to die.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. All right, you started it.
Okay, no, I can. Sad banana peel death story. Female. Monroe Weinstein was a banana. All his life, he had worked to achieve his dream of going to Oxford University. Today is the day he graduates from high school. Monroe, won't you come down to the kitchen a moment? Yeah, Mom. Dear, there's something your father and I need to tell you. Oh? Yes, son. His father entered the room. You know we've done as much as we can to try and help you in your life so far. Yeah, Dad. Well, continued Mr. Weinstein, I think it's time you knew you were adopted. Oh? Said Monroe. He tried to act surprised, but he had been aware of this fact since sex ed day in 4th grade health class. In the years following, Monroe had slipped in and out of severe depression and eventually was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. His human parents spared no effort in trying to find psychiatric help for their banana son, but to no avail. Monroe persevered, though, and completed his high school education with flying color, which was yellow. We should probably head over to the school now, right? Said Monroe, as he searched for the tie he bought for the occasion. In the hallway of James Bowie High School and Screen Door Company, Jessica Burnhill was late. So late, in fact, that she was running down the linoleum hall in 4-inch heels. In the corner of her eye, she caught a glimpse of something yellow wearing a tie. Too late she glimpsed it. Her 4-inch heels were no match for the slick peel of Monroe the banana. As Jessica's forehead hit the metal door frame, she could faintly hear the voices of Monroe's parents saying something about Oxford University.
Wow!
Okay. That. I can't. Okay.
Write a story about a girl slipping on a banana peel and make it as sad as possible. As was her custom, Angelina had ventured out for her daily afternoon stroll. An overwhelming quiet had fallen over her house in the last month, so she was generally eager to step into the outside world for any length of time. Of course, no location offered her any real peace. Her thoughts were always sullen and gray. No one could really blame her, as she had just lost both her parents a few weeks before. Things had not been well in her family for some time. Prior to their deaths, Angelina's parents, married for 27 years, had begun arguing much more than was typical of her. It had gotten animus enough that Angelina questioned whether they would stay together. Now she had no such thing to fear, and it almost seemed good. Almost. Loss was not a foreign concept to Angelina. Years ago, when she was still learning to dress herself, she had had a brother, an adopted brother, Milo. His adoption.
Adoption and dead parents.
He was hardly two then, but he was very intelligent. Their mother always let him outside and left him to his own devices because he was never much trouble. It just so happened that as Milo was constructing the third in a series of castles he'd started, a passerby tossed an old banana peel onto the driveway. Milo was smart, but none would call him wise. He darted toward the discarded fruit sheath, promptly slipping upon it and...
And what now?
promptly slipping upon it and careening through the air toward a coincidentally busy intersection poised at the end of the driveway.
How's the intersection poised?
Intersection, ready for action.
With all these happenings pressing in on her mind, Angelina had walked all through her neighborhood as inattentively as one can. She blinked as she went to cross a street and, opening her eyes in the next instant, found herself on the ground, unable to move her limbs. Turning her head to the left, she discovered that she was facing an empty banana skin. In the distance, she felt the distinct tremor of an approaching Kenworth. Closing her eyes and weeping heavily, she could only embrace her ever-nearing reunion with her family.
Wow,
Yay,
You rained on my soul.
Wow. I think we both sort of had a similar approach in that we're like, okay, take the sad and put it at the end of the story. And Tom was just like,
interspersed.
all the sad everywhere.
Well, I tried to build up with sadness, like making you care about the banana.
I care deeply
Yeah.
about the
Yeah.
He had to
Giving him a backstory.
Why
and
did
like
Monroe
dreams,
Weinstein have to die?
Because he's so small and hard to see.
and well dressed.
Yes. I imagine him not even being anthropomorphized at all. That's
Just
not
as an actual banana.
just with a tie on it. Like it's scaled to him, but it's just
Tied perfectly in a half
somehow.
Windsor
Yeah.
that he learned just for this occasion.